The holographic display flickered in the dim light of Station Omega-7's briefing room. Commander Vexcall studied the contract details with his 4 eyes, each pair blinking independently as he processed the information. The pay was excellent. Almost too excellent for what appeared to be simple work. A mining colony, he said, his translator device rendering his clicks and whistles into Galactic Common. Human settlers. Minimal defenses. They refused to vacate corporate property. His second-in-command, a scarred veteran named Throck, leaned closer to examine the data. The payment seems high for colonists with outdated weapons. Vexcall dismissed the concern with a wave of his thin, elongated arm. The Zenthri were known across 3 spiral arms as elite mercenaries. Their low-gravity homeworld had given them speed and agility that most species could not match. The Crimson Blades had never failed a contract in 12 cycles. Humans, Vexcall said with amusement. They are new to the galaxy. Barely a century since first contact. The corporation wants them removed quickly and cleanly. We do this and our reputation grows even stronger. An old contact, a grizzled information broker named Sills, had sent Vexcall a message earlier that day. The words echoed in his mind now. Reconsider. Humans are Deathworlders. Different rules apply. Deathworlders. The term was thrown around in spacer bars and mercenary halls like a ghost story. Species that evolved on deadly planets with heavy gravity, dangerous predators, and extreme conditions. Vexcall had heard the rumors but dismissed them as exaggeration. Every species thought themselves special. We accept, he told his commander. Prepare the fleet. 3 days later, the Crimson Blades arrived at Arcturus 9. The mining colony clung to the side of a mountain range, tunnels boring deep into the planet's crust. Vexcall scanners showed roughly 200 human signatures scattered throughout the complex. Send the demand, he ordered. They have 1 hour to surrender and board transports. The response came within minutes. A simple message, no. Vexcall was not surprised. There was always resistance at first. He deployed his shock troops, 300 of the finest Zenthri warriors, each equipped with plasma rifles and combat shields. They advanced on the main entrance with practiced precision. The humans fired a few scattered shots, then retreated into the tunnels. Vexcall watched from his command ship, nodding in satisfaction. It was proceeding exactly as planned. First and second squads, pursue into the tunnel network. Third and fourth secure the perimeter. This will be over before nightfall. His troops entered the darkened tunnels in formation. Their helmet lights cut through the blackness as they moved deeper. Communications remained steady for the first 10 minutes. Squad leaders reported empty corridors and abandoned equipment. Then the screaming started. Contact. Contact. They are. The transmission cut to static. Vexcall straightened in his command chair. Report. What is happening? More voices flooded the channel, overlapping in panic. They moved too fast. How are they seeing in this darkness? They are not where our sensors. Another scream, then silence. Squad after squad went dark. Vexcall sent in reinforcements, but they met the same fate. Within 30 minutes, over half his ground force had stopped transmitting. A single soldier stumbled out of the tunnel entrance, his armor scorched, his eyes wide with terror. The medics rushed to him, but he kept repeating the same words. Not colonists. Soldiers. Human soldiers. They hunt like predators. Vexcall felt something unfamiliar creep up his spine. Fear. His communication console beeped with an incoming transmission. He opened it with a trembling hand. The message was short, delivered in calm, accented Galactic Common. Commander Vexcall of the Crimson Blades. You have engaged a protected colony. Earth Defense Force 3rd Ranger Battalion is inbound. You have 12 hours to withdraw all forces and depart this system. This is your only warning. The transmission included coordinates and a timestamp. Vexcall checked his long-range sensors. A human warship was indeed approaching, moving faster than should be possible for its size. For the first time in his career, Commander Vexcall considered retreat. Captain Sarah Chin stood on the bridge of the EDF destroyer Relentless, her dark eyes fixed on the tactical display. The red markers indicating mercenary positions clustered around Arcturus 9 like insects around a light. Her jaw tightened. How long until we reach orbit? She asked. 6 hours, Captain, the navigator replied. 6 hours. The colonists had been holding out for 2 days already. Chin felt a familiar anger building in her chest. These were her people. Human civilians trying to build a life on a distant world, and some mercenary group thought they could just sweep in and remove them like trash. Lieutenant James Park entered the bridge carrying a data pad. Intel update, Captain. Zenthari mercenaries. The Crimson Blades. They are supposed to be pretty good. Supposed to be, Chin repeated. She pulled up the Zenthari species file on her display. Low gravity homeworld, 0.6 standard. Fast reflexes in their native environment, but fragile bone structure. Poor night vision. High oxygen requirements. She had seen this pattern before. When humanity first joined the galactic community 20 years ago, everyone assumed Earth was a normal world. Then the scientists started comparing notes. Earth's gravity was nearly double what most species considered comfortable. Earth's atmosphere was oxygen-rich to the point of being toxic to some aliens. Earth's predators were nightmare fuel for civilizations that evolved without natural enemies. The galactic community had a classification system for planets. Earth was rated Class 12. A death world. Only 3 other known species in the galaxy came from similar environments, and all of them were considered extremely dangerous. Chin remembered her first mission off-world. She had been a lieutenant then, part of a peacekeeping force on a disputed station. The local security chief, a VRWN with purple skin and multiple arms, had challenged her authority. He was twice her height and outweighed her by 100 pounds. The fight lasted 4 seconds. Chen's Deathworld evolved muscles and bone density, combined with combat training designed for Earth's crushing gravity, had made the contest laughably one-sided. The VRWN spent 3 days in medical. Chin spent 3 hours filling out incident reports. That was when she understood. Humanity did not ask to be born on a hostile world. But evolution had given them gifts that most of the galaxy could barely comprehend. Gather the squad, Chin ordered. Briefing in 10 minutes. The Rangers assembled in the briefing room. Chin looked at each face. Lieutenant Park, her demolitions expert, built like a tank with hands that could crush steel. Sergeant Amara Okafor, the sniper whose eyes could track targets at distances that alien marksmen insisted were impossible. Corporal Yuki Tanaka, the combat medic who could march for days without sleep while carrying a wounded soldier. These were not ordinary humans. These were Rangers. Earth's elite. Selected from millions, trained in Earth's harshest environments, pushed beyond what any human thought possible. And Earth's baseline was already terrifying to most aliens. Listen up, Chin began. The mercenaries have superior numbers and air support. They have fortified positions and hostages. On paper they should win. Park grinned. But we are not on paper. Exactly, Chin continued. She pulled up the tactical map. They expect us to fight like them. Formation charges, daylight operations, conventional tactics. We will do none of that. She zoomed in on the tunnel network beneath the colony. We insert during their night cycle. Most Zenthari need 8 hours of sleep in darkness. We need 4 and we can function in near total black. We use the tunnels they have already cleared for us. Okafor studied the map. Hit and fade tactics. Make them afraid to sleep. Humans evolved as endurance hunters, Chin said. We ran our prey to exhaustion on Earth. We will do the same here. Small teams, constant pressure, no rest for the enemy. By the time they realize what is happening, they will be too exhausted to mount a defense. Tanaka raised a hand. Rules of engagement? Protect the civilians at all costs. Minimize mercenary casualties where possible. We are not butchers. But make no mistake, we will show them why you do not threaten human colonists. The squad nodded in unison. Chin felt the familiar rush of pre-combat focus settling over the room. The galaxy thinks we are just another species, she said quietly. Let's remind these mercenaries why Deathworlders are different. Vexcal had not slept in 36 hours. His compound eyes burned with fatigue as he stared at the tactical display. Another patrol had gone missing. That made 17 in the last 2 days. Commander, we cannot find them, his communications officer said, voice shaking. They just disappear. No weapons fire, no distress calls. They are just gone. Vexcal slammed his fist on the console. The Zenthari required darkness and quiet to sleep properly. But every time his soldiers tried to rest, something happened. Equipment vanished. Sentries disappeared. Strange sounds echoed through the tunnels that his people could not identify. The humans had arrived, but they had not attacked. Not in any way he understood. There were no mass charges, no orbital bombardment, no demands for surrender. Instead, there was only silence and an ever-growing sense of dread. High above the colony, Sergeant Amara Okafor lay motionless on a rocky outcrop. Her breathing was slow and controlled. Through her rifle scope, she watched a Zenthari sentry pace nervously on a landing platform 2 kilometers away. The alien kept looking over his shoulder, weapon held too tightly. Okafor adjusted for wind, gravity, and the planet's rotation. The mathematics came naturally after years of practice. She squeezed the trigger. The sentry dropped without a sound. His comrades would not find him for another hour. She moved immediately, changing positions like she had been trained. Never stay in one place after a shot. In the tunnels below, Lieutenant Park worked with practiced efficiency. His team had mapped every supply route the mercenaries used. Now they moved through the darkness like ghosts, placing charges on ammunition dumps and food storage. Timer set for 0300, Park whispered into his comm, that is their deepest sleep cycle. The explosions would not kill anyone. That was not the point. The point was to make sure the mercenaries never felt safe. Never got proper rest. Never stopped looking over their shoulders. Corporal Tanaka led her team through an air vent that the Zenthree's bulkier equipment could not access. Human flexibility, evolved from tree-climbing ancestors, gave them advantages in tight spaces. They emerged in a mercenary barracks where soldiers slept in the darkness. Tanaka's team moved between the sleeping aliens, collecting weapons and placing a simple note on the commander's desk. We could have killed you all. Choose wisely. They were gone before anyone woke up. Vexcall received reports of the incident at dawn. His soldiers had awakened to find themselves disarmed while they slept. The psychological impact was devastating. If the humans could walk among them unseen, what else could they do? Launch the gunships, Vexcall ordered desperately. Air superiority. That is something they cannot take from us. 3 attack craft lifted off, their sensors sweeping the colony for targets. The pilots felt confident. Humans might be good on the ground, but in the air, Zenthri technology ruled. The first missile came from an impossible angle. A portable launcher that should not have been in that position fired from a hidden alcove. The gunship exploded in a fireball. The second craft tried to evade, but 2 more missiles tracked it with perfect accuracy. Only the third gunship managed to land, damaged and smoking. The crew stumbled out, expecting to be killed. Instead, they found human soldiers waiting with medical supplies. Tanaka herself treated their burns and broken bones with efficient care. Why? One of the pilots asked in broken galactic common. Why help us? Tanaka looked at him with calm eyes. Because we are not monsters. We are soldiers. There is a difference. She handed the pilot a data pad as his comrades carried him to a shuttle. Watch this. Then tell your commander what he is really fighting. The footage showed everything. Human rangers moving through Zenthri defenses like they were not there. Slipping past sensors, navigating in total darkness, carrying equipment that should have been too heavy in the colony's gravity. Moving, always moving, never tiring. The pilot watched in horror as the video showed just how many times the humans could have killed them all but chose not to. When the wounded mercenaries returned to base, Vexcall watched the footage. His hands trembled. He checked the countdown. 4 hours remained of the human deadline. For the first time, retreat seemed like the only option for survival. Captain Chin listened to the transmission with ice in her veins. Vexcall's voice crackled through the speaker, trying to sound confident but failing. Captain Chin, I have 32 human colonists in my command center. If your forces do not withdraw immediately, they will be harmed. You have 1 hour to comply. The transmission ended. The bridge fell silent. Every eye turned to Chin. She took a slow breath, her mind already working through scenarios. Hostages. The oldest tactic in the book. Vexcall thought he had found humanity's weakness. Their care for their own people. He was right about the caring part. Wrong about it being a weakness. Park, she said calmly. I need diversions. Multiple locations. Make them think we are hitting every position they have. On it, Captain. Okafor, find me sight lines on that command center. I want to know every window, every door, every weakness. Yes, ma'am. Tanaka, prep your team for close quarters extraction. Full non-lethal where possible, but you are authorized for whatever force is necessary to protect those civilians. Tanaka nodded sharply. Understood. Chen pulled up the building schematics on her display. The colonists had built this place. They knew every pipe, every shaft, every hidden space that the blueprints did not show. She opened a secure channel to the colony's chief engineer, who was hiding in the lower levels. Marcus, I need to know every way into that command center that is not on the official maps. 20 minutes later, Chen had her answer. For entry points that the mercenaries did not know existed. Maintenance shafts too small for Zenthri bodies but perfect for humans. Park's diversions began exactly on schedule. Explosions rocked the eastern perimeter. Mercenary alarms blared. Vexcall, watching his sensors, saw what looked like a major assault forming on 3 sides. All reserve units to the perimeter, he ordered. They are trying to overwhelm us with numbers. His troops rushed to respond, pulling guards away from the command center. Only a skeleton crew remained to watch the hostages. In the darkness, Tanaka's team moved. 4 separate units, each approaching through different maintenance tunnels. They wore light amplification goggles that turned the pitch-black shafts into green-tinted visibility. The Zen-3, with their poor night vision, would be nearly blind in these conditions. Chin coordinated from above, watching the thermal signatures on her display. Team 1, you have 2 guards at your exit point. Team 2, clear. Team 3, wait 30 seconds. Team 4, you are green. The teams emerged simultaneously. Flashbang grenades detonated in the command center, the brilliant light and crushing sound overwhelming Zen-3 senses. Smoke filled the room. The mercenaries stumbled, disoriented and blind. The rangers moved through the chaos with practiced precision. Non-lethal rounds dropped guards before they could fire. Tanaka herself reached the colonists, cutting their restraints with quick motions. Stay low, follow me, do not stop moving, she commanded. One Zen-3 officer recovered faster than the others and raised his weapon toward the fleeing civilians. Park appeared from the smoke and tackled him with bone-crushing force. The alien's weapon skittered away. Vexcall himself tried to reach the escape route, only to find Captain Chin blocking his path. He was fast, his combat training excellent by Zen-3 standards. He threw a punch that would have shattered another Zen-3's skull. Chin caught his fist in her hand. The difference in bone density and muscle mass, products of evolving under different gravity, made the contest absurdly one-sided. She twisted his arm and swept his legs. He hit the floor hard. Stay down, she said quietly. The entire operation took 90 seconds. All 32 colonists were extracted safely. Not one had been harmed. 14 mercenaries were secured with minimal injuries. Chin stood over Vexcall, who looked up at her with 4 eyes full of disbelief and something else. Respect, perhaps. Or simply fear. Why, he asked. Why risk so much for simple colonists? Chin helped him to his feet, keeping his hands restrained. Because they are not simple anything. They are humans. They are our people. We do not abandon our own. That is what it means to be a Deathworlder. We survived by protecting each other. She gestured to his troops, now disarmed and sitting under guard. You fought for money. We fight for family. That is why you never had a chance. 6 months had passed since Arcturus 9. Vexcall stood in the crowded bar on Freeport Prime, a data pad in his hand and a drink he barely touched on the table. Around him, mercenaries from a dozen species boasted about their latest contracts and argued over payment rates. A young KRLL captain, his scales bright with youth and confidence, approached Vexcall's table. You are the famous Commander Vexcall, yes? The one who faced the humans. Vexcall looked up slowly. His eyes had changed. They held a weariness that had not been there before. Famous is not the word I would use. The KRLL sat down without invitation. I have a contract. Human Research Station, minimal security. Easy target. I thought you might want in given your experience. Vexcall set down his data pad and looked directly at the young captain. Let me tell you about my experience. I lost half my force without the humans firing a single shot in open battle. They hunted us in the darkness. They moved through our defenses like we were children playing soldier. They disarmed my troops while they slept and could have killed every single one of us but chose mercy instead. The KRLL's confidence faltered. But surely with proper planning. There is no proper planning, Vexcall interrupted. They come from a world that tried to kill them every day for millions of years. Their gravity crushes us. Their air burns our lungs. Their predators would terrify our worst nightmares. And they evolved to survive all of it. He pulled up files on his data pad. After Arcturus 9, others did not listen. The Scarth Brotherhood attacked a human cargo ship. 6 humans were on board. Just 6. The Brotherhood sent 40 warriors. Do you know how many Scarth survived? 3. The humans were cargo crew, not even soldiers. The KRLL's scales darkened with doubt. That cannot be true. It is in the after-action report, Vexcall said flatly. Or ask the Thyral Syndicate about what happened when they tried to raid a human medical station. The humans there were doctors and nurses. They still fought like demons to protect their patients. The Thyral lost 23 mercenaries before they retreated. He scrolled through more files. Each one was a mercenary company that had underestimated humans. Each one had paid a terrible price. The galaxy is learning slowly, Vexcall continued. Humans are not like us. They do not see combat as business. They see it as survival. Every human civilian matters to them. Every colonist, every researcher, every child. They will send their best warriors across the galaxy to protect a single outpost. The KRL captain stood up, his confidence shaken. Perhaps I will reconsider the contract. Smart choice, Vexcall said. The smartest you will ever make. Across the galaxy, the lesson was being learned in blood and defeat. Mercenary guilds updated their databases. New warnings appeared next to human targets. Extreme risk. Deathworld species. Engagement not recommended. But there were always those who did not listen. Always someone who thought they knew better. 3 weeks later, Vexcall received a message. The young KRL captain had ignored his advice. He took a team to raid that research station. EDF Marine raiders had been conducting exercises nearby. They responded within 30 minutes. The KRL captain survived. Most of his team did not. Vexcall recorded a final message and broadcast it across every mercenary channel he could access. His image appeared on screens throughout the galaxy. I am Commander Vexcall. I lost everything at Arcturus 9 because I believed humans were weak. I was wrong. They call their planet Earth. To them it is home. To the rest of us it would be hell. They evolved in hell and became its masters. He paused, his 4 eyes staring directly into the camera. If you see human targets, walk away. If you see Earth Defense Force insignia, surrender immediately. If you threaten human civilians, make peace with whatever gods you believe in. This is not fear. This is survival. Learn from my mistakes or become another statistic in the growing list of those who did not. The message went viral across mercenary networks. Some laughed. Others took it seriously. But everyone remembered the name Arcturus 9. On that distant mining colony, Captain Sarah Chin stood with her rangers, preparing to rotate home to Earth. The colonists had thrown a celebration that lasted 3 days. Children wore toy ranger badges. Adults spoke of building a memorial. Think they learned their lesson, Captain? Park asked, watching the sunset. Chin smiled slightly. Some will. Others won't. But each time the message gets clearer. Humanity protects its own. Always, Tanaka added quietly. Always, Chin agreed. A new contract alert pinged on her communicator. Another colony under threat. Another group of humans needing help. Chin looked at her squad. No words were needed. They were already preparing to move. That was what Deathworlders did. They survived. They adapted. They protected their own. And the galaxy was finally beginning to understand.